Well, good morning, and welcome to the Wintrade Global Summit. Congratulations for securing your front row seat to inspiration over the next 2 days. We will be hearing from so many incredible speakers. It's full of inspiration, it's full of learning, it's full of supporting and networking and connecting with like-minded people. You'll meet new people, you'll meet new friends, and hopefully you'll meet old friends. But it's all about just connecting with people across the globe. The Wintrade Global Experience is full of content that will leave you speechless. From our women's panels to our masterclasses, which builds the building block. Each one gives you another brick to build a strong foundation in your business. I can't tell you how great it is to be here. We've all gone through some incredibly tough times over the past 18 months, but I can't tell you about the bright future that is ahead unless we go back and talk about what's happened over the past 18 months. We're so resilient as a race of humans. It's been the worst of times, but it's also been the best of times. The worst of times because I think we all know somebody that's either been directly or indirectly affected by COVID. It's either been a personal experience, and in my case it has been, or we know somebody that has been through the stress and the trauma of COVID. I've got to say, even as we speak, Wintrade Global has actually been affected by COVID because 2 of our speakers have had to drop out because they've literally contracted COVID in the last couple of days. We talked about the worst of times. We've all experienced or know somebody that's been affected by mental health challenges. I know women and men actually who've been affected by domestic abuse. Of course, the bereavement. It's been endless. It's been endless. So I can only congratulate all of you who are here online today because you've made it through. You've made it through, and the future, I hope, will look bright. I'm sure you're going to hear from the minister shortly a lot more about what, certainly from the UK perspective, what we're doing to help businesses. On the upside, it's been the best of times. It's been a fresh start for so many of us. It's been a creative time. It really has been the case of, to be so dramatic, I hate to be so dramatic, but you have to adapt or die. And some of us has made it through, and some of us haven't. So for those of you who've made it through, you know, that is just fantastic. Thank you very much. As far as Wintrade Global is concerned, we've managed to adapt. We've managed to pivot online. We've managed to keep in contact and in support with our tribe. I think we are one of the networks that has actually survived and thrived. During the past year, we've had, because we pivoted online, we have had over 50 talks from amazing business leaders, both men and women, everybody from, I say everyone, great people from Facebook through to MasterCard, through to Virgin, to Deloitte, to EY, to Google, to LinkedIn, to Microsoft. And then we've had a lot of amazing personal speakers who have come and talked to us about storytelling, the importance of storytelling, the importance of branding, the importance of marketing, the importance of adapting and why you must adapt or think about seriously adapting AI within your business during the next 5 years. We've looked at the future and the future is bright. And what we want to do is make sure that we're here and able to help you and support you in making that happen. We wanted to stay connected. We have managed to do more than just staying connected. We've expanded across the globe. So for us, being online has really stretched us. It's really expanded us. It's been exciting. We've met new people. We're now connected to so many different countries, too many for me to even start mentioning right now. But, you know, all of that is wonderful. We can sit in our own lounges, our own front rooms, and talk to people all over the world. This is the other thing. There are no more gatekeepers. We have no excuses to for starting a new business these days, because there are no gatekeepers. As long as you've got access to the internet and a computer in front of you, and with some people, they're even running their businesses on smartphones. And I'm sure there are a few of you in the audience that do that. But there are no excuses right now. Everybody has access to the possibilities and to the opportunities. And again, we're going to hear a little bit more for those kind of opportunities from the Minister for Business. But really and truly, we can't wait until we can meet each other and press the flesh and hug and talk face to face. I'm sure that time is going to come. And hopefully this time next year, we'll be meeting in London for our week-long WinTrade Global Summit, which many of you have visited before. And we'll be able to do it in person. And who knows, we may even be meeting the minister in person at that point. But that's not going to happen this year. So, as I said, we've opted to pivot and be part of the bold and the brave brigade. And this is our very first virtual summit, and it's our very first global awards. So it's all new, it's all exciting, it's all energetic. And, you know, everybody would think that it's easy doing something online. It's not. But we have managed, as a team, we've managed to bring 60 of our closest friends together to speak to you. We've got over 30 masterclasses. We've got judges and finalists and too many time zones that, you know, to control and make sure that we connect with. So it's been amazing. It's been really nerve-wracking, but it's been absolutely amazing. I do love a challenge, and this has been a big challenge. But I could never have done this without my team. So I really want to give my thanks and gratitude to my small but incredible team. They've been so dedicated. I've worked them to the bone, but we've all had a great time. So to the WinTrade Global team, working from Germany, Hungary, London, Latvia, Singapore, and Turkey, thank you all so much. And you all know who you are by the countries that you're in. I also want to thank our patrons. I want to thank our partners. I want to thank Patrick Lewis Photography, Global Win, Vienna, Stray Cats, and Migrant Leaders, not to mention Facebook and the Al-Saad Foundation, who have made it possible for us to be with you today and tomorrow. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. You will have a great summit. And those of you who are going to be at the awards tomorrow night, that's the place to be. And as I've said to the finalists, once you've received your awards or you know the outcome, please do not leave. Make sure you join us in our jazz lounge, in our soul lounge, and in our clubhouse lounge, and have a great time to end the evening. I'm not going to say much more because I know you really want to hear from the minister. So I'm so proud to be hosting this event for our global audience, but to focus on the UK small business arena and to tell us what a difference a year has made. Let's hear from Mr. Paul Scully, the Minister for Business. I will let him introduce himself because I don't like to, I think people can introduce themselves much better than me doing it. So for our first keynote speech of the WinTrade Global Summit, please welcome Mr. Paul Scully, MP, UK Minister for Business. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Yvonne. And what an impassioned, energetic opening. And I think that sets the scene for the next couple of days for you. And really appreciate you inviting me to the summit today. And thanks to all of you, all that list of people across Europe and the world that you mentioned, and all the network, what the network does to champion women in business. I'm delighted to be able to speak to you today about the work that we're doing to support businesses, promote female entrepreneurship, and move the UK forward during the pandemic. But just as a means of introduction, my exact title is slightly long and bureaucratic. It's the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Labour Markets, Small Business and Consumers, and the Minister of State for London. You can shrink all of that, frankly, over the last 14 months to the Minister for Unintended Consequences, because as we've been going through all of this process, it's been, in the same way that government has had to do, the UK government has had to do, is to learn, is to flex, to listen to people, engage with people, and really see what measures we can put in place at speed, at scale, and make sure that we can change as need be responsive to the UK economy and local economies across the country as well. And we've put in £352 billion worth of financial support through a number of schemes, whether it's our loans, whether it's our grant schemes, whether it's our furlough scheme to help pay people's salaries, or help support self-employed schemes as well, and various rates relief. But that means that as we come out of COVID, we've got 352 billion reasons to get the next bit right, the recovery right. And that's really where the new businesses and entrepreneurs come in, because we saw that from the last recession after the financial crash, that actually it was entrepreneurs, it was new businesses that were really the backbone of the UK's recovery. And that's why the opportunity for starting a business and running your own business should be open to anybody that wants to take that step. We as government want to unleash the potential of all UK's entrepreneurs, regardless of their background. Before I was elected, I ran small businesses, micro businesses, some from my kitchen table and some from other clients' offices. And so I've seen the gamut. And it's really when other people are reliant on you for their livelihoods, for providing their livelihoods through your job creation, your opportunities that you are creating, it really does give you a different perspective in life. And that's why it's nice to hear Yvonne use the word pivot, because I know that the business word of last year was furlough. I want to make sure that the business word of this year is pivot, as businesses learn to adapt, as businesses learn to roll with the punches, really. But that's what entrepreneurs do so well: understand the risk and then try and manage that risk as best they can. So, but we want to give everybody the opportunity. Now that is female entrepreneurs, that's entrepreneurs from ethnic communities, and young people, disabled people. They should all have equal chances. It shouldn't matter where they are in the UK. The ability to get great business support, to get great access to finance and peer-to-peer networking and mentoring. But just turning quickly to female entrepreneurs, which is something that Yvonne does so much work on. Before the pandemic, Alison Rose, the chief executive of NatWest, published the independent Rose Review into female entrepreneurship. It aimed to highlight the barriers that they face when starting a business. And as a response to that, we've got an ambition to increase the number of female entrepreneurs by half by 2030, equivalent to nearly 600,000 additional female entrepreneurs. But we're not going to stop there. I want to build on the work of the Rose Review and look at what more we can do, not just to support women entrepreneurs, but others that may face barriers, as I've just talked about. Because what I found by speaking to people like Yvonne, speaking to people across the country, I've probably spoken to about 5,000 or 6,000 businesses over the last year. I find that a lot of the issues that are facing different groups are actually the same, whether it's access to finance, access to business support, having those right networks, or the mentoring and peer-to-peer networks. But the solutions are actually very different. They need to be tailored to each of those groups, each of those areas, and that's something that we've got to consider as we develop our policy. But we know that the pandemic was such a challenging time for so many businesses. Having run my businesses, as I say, I look upon people that are going through this process now, thinking, crikey, there, but for the grace of God, go I. It's really stressful to run a business in normal times. To be running it in this unprecedented times, then that is a whole nother challenge. And by the way, Yvonne, thank you so much for raising and keeping raising the issue about mental health and domestic abuse as well, because we can talk about the economic costs of the pandemic. We don't always talk about the health costs beyond the direct health costs of having COVID itself. And I know the challenges here because I'm actually isolating. This is why I've got a red wall behind me rather than my departmental wall with the inevitable Union Jack flag that all government ministers have. I'm afraid it's not all bad because on the other side is my gin collection. That's the one thing about being at home. But nonetheless, it is a challenge having to chop and change from working from between home and the offices. But these are the challenges that we all have to adapt to, this new normal as we come out of the pandemic. But I know that, as I say, that so many of you have had to focus and pivot as a result. But it is your entrepreneurial spirit that really has played the significant role during the pandemic, and I know it'll play a massive role as we come out. We've provided a lot of support through this, but we now need to make sure that we can see business, especially those that received support, continue to invest themselves and grow as we emerge from the pandemic. And that's why enterprise and entrepreneurship are going to be huge priorities for our department as we look on to deliver our ambition to make the UK the best place to start and grow a business. It's every business that wants to invest and grow, they've got to know exactly how to do so and where to get that support. So we're building on our COVID support through our recently launched Help to Grow scheme. There's two elements of that, which they provide SMEs the digital tools that they need to pivot from maybe a bricks and mortar or increase digitalization in their business through voucher support for software and support in digital take-up, but also Help to Grow management as well. So small businesses to be able to do a mini MBA that are largely sponsored by the government, so that they can learn tools that may increase their productivity, introducing structured management techniques into their business. And I'll make sure that Yvonne has the detail of that. So if that's something of interest to the UK businesses on the call, then please do sign up for those as well. In the coming months, we're going to be talking to businesses about what more we can do as a government to support entrepreneurs and businesses as we emerge from the pandemic. And I really value the input from your network in exactly how we're going to do that. So thanks once again, Yvonne. Thanks very much for everybody across the world for joining. And I can see the emojis coming through to see the energy in the virtual room. And I know that energy is going to continue over the next couple of days. Back to you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time, because I know your schedule's always busy. I think we may have time for one or two questions before our next panel begins. So if anybody has a question, I mean, I have questions, but I'd like to make sure the audience gets an opportunity to speak directly to you. So if anybody has a question, can you raise your hand? Here we go. And as soon as I said that, it popped up. And maybe one of the team can help us to bring that person on screen to ask the question, or put the question across the screen first, maybe, if that's all at all possible. And I'm trying to, Rafaela, fantastic. If we can get Rafaela on stage, that would be fantastic. Wonderful. Rafaela, put your camera on, and she's an economist. I'm going to warn you now.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for this fantastic event and really a very good speech from you, Minister. Very encouraging to see so much focus on entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs. Of course, I am partisan on this. One question I have in mind is that globalization, digitalization makes accessing talent globally so much easier, right? So, but from my point of view, from a legal perspective, I constantly fear whether, I simply tap into global talent by using invoicing, because not everyone is going to have their own company. And not everyone may relocate to the UK, because especially for small businesses, the issue is you need to expand and contract very quickly, especially these days. So I think it would be incredibly helpful if you provide guidelines on that. Maybe it's just reassurance, but I think at least from my end, this has been a recurring thought that I had, because it's true that long-term employees that we nurture are going to be UK based, but there is there is a lot of other stuff that we do on ad hoc. Would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Thanks, Raphael. That's a really interesting point, fascinating point, and it's something that I've not looked at it in the context that you describe, but actually it's something that's got me thinking as we are encouraging people back to the workplace. Because I'm the Minister for London, so I'm really keen to get the City of London and the West End, and London's about 25% of the UK's entire GDP that comes out of London. So it's hugely important that we get it to bounce back. But as we talk about working from home, about hybrid working and flexible working, it occurs to me that actually, if you are going to have something that's more akin to permanently working from home, those people, for say a London business, you don't need to be recruiting from London. So there it could be further afield around the UK. Doesn't need to be the UK though. That's the issue that I was coming to in terms of your example. So what more can we do to make sure that we're protecting our labour market, protecting our cities in terms of our current structures with all the businesses around those multinationals that are reliant on those big companies to support, but whilst making sure that we remain global Britain. It's a real challenge. But in terms of invoicing, in terms of having those partnerships abroad, yeah, that's something I'll definitely take away, because one of the areas of business support that we're looking at in our 38 growth hubs around the country is making sure we're more closely aligned with our colleagues for the Department of International Trade. And it's really having that collaboration cross-government that will hopefully we'll be able to work on that guidance for you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Minister, we do have a couple more people who would be interested in hearing more about the government recognising specific issues that are affecting women in business. I'm not going to bring anyone else because we're already running late for the next session. But if you can just comment a little bit more, you talked about working with women's networks and looking at the problems or the issues for women. If you can just expand on that a little, and then we'll let you go. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So as I say, I talked about the fact that so many of these areas and different communities and women in this case have got the same issues, different solutions, and more tailored solutions. So one of the areas that we've been talking about with the Rose Review is having the Investing in Women Code, because we keep getting time and time again when I keep hearing examples of a woman putting a bloke up to go and get the money, to go and do the pitch, how ridiculous is that we're still doing that in this day and age, having to do that or feeling the need to do that. Investing in Women Code gets financial institutions and various lenders and various investors to sign up as a reputational thing for them rather than mandating anything. To first of all broaden their investing team, because people tend to invest in what they know. So if you've got an all-male team, inevitably it tends to gravitate towards more men that they're investing in. So can we broaden their teams out? But also the commitment to understand that diversity in thinking, both in their teams and in their investment portfolios, having more female-led businesses is a good thing, and showcasing the very best of that. That's one example. That's just one example that we're coming into. But we're looking at other ways that we can really break down, because it's a lot of it's from the top coming down in those investment teams. Some of it is actually coming up because you can generalize a little bit, but sometimes the risk appetite and approach to taking finance or taking investment in the first place differs from some female entrepreneur teams to some male entrepreneur teams. It's that having a way of breaking down that testosterone-driven approach to seeking finance in the first place. So I'm really keen to keep learning from networks like yours, to see what more we can do. But that's hopefully a helpful start in illustrating the kind of things we're doing.
Well, it's a privilege to be able to support you on the advisory group that I'm on for ethnic minority businesses. I'm happy to join and support you on women-owned businesses, because we're not just an ethnic minority network. We're a global women's network, as you can tell from some of the women. We've got women all over the place. And of course, someone wants to call me during the meeting, but but also, you know, what's happening is that we've got a great we have got a great lineup of speakers. We've got Eric Collins from Channel 4's The Moneymaker, who is a venture capitalist himself. We've got an investment team. In fact, we've got some women, and some of them are on now, like Dr. Narissa. Some of them are on now who are going to be pitching for investment in our session tomorrow, actually. But we've got venture capitalists, funders, investors from Silicon Valley later on today, from London, and from Europe, who are going to be talking to our women about what it is that investors are looking for when they're going to decide who to invest them, or then invest their time and their money, because, you know, the time and the experience is just as valuable. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much. I wish we had a little bit more time, because we would have got some more questions in. And, you know, please do let us have the links and to any downloads. I know your team are great at sending messages back, and we will certainly share it with everybody that comes through our summit and our awards tomorrow. Are you going to be joining us at the awards and staying and coming to our club lounge or our jazz lounge?
That sounded amazing. I don't think I can, but that sounded amazing. I was thinking when I heard about jazz and soul lounging, so that's
well, thank you again.
Well, and with you next year in person.
Oh, right. Did you hear that commitment? It's on video. It's on video. We've got it now. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to let you go because we're running late for the next session already. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.